for sure. If it was just a military slugfest, the US is happy to burn the fucking globe and rule over the ashes. However, what happens throughout all of this isn't just up to the US. And if I were another nation who knew that I would have to be part of overthrowing the oppression of the empire, I would prepare, right? These other countries have been preparing. So one thing you might do is you might fund extremist groups, much like the US does. Think about over the last few years, the extremist groups that we've seen pop up, not necessarily militarized extremist groups. We're not necessarily talking about militias, but just extremist groups that sow division and discord. Something else you might do is meddle in elections via funding dubious news outlets, sponsoring misinformation ad campaigns, sponsoring on the down low maybe some candidates that maybe do or don't win, but that are in the race long enough to skew discourse and create mess. It would also be vital to create a monetary system, since that's a big part of what the US uses to oppress people, a monetary system that exists outside of US influence, outside of the US dollar, right? And we're seeing that happen. That I can name. We're seeing BRICS become a thing. We have seen very clearly that the sanctions that the US has placed on Russia, no matter what the headlines tell you, when you look at real information, the sanctions have not done the job that the US is used to sanctions doing. And as that monetary system, as we see BRICS become what they hope BRICS will be, and they've been working on this for years and years now, that's going to lessen the control that the US has over smaller countries. Also, the resources that are available in those smaller countries, right? The US is going to lose that influence. You would also see other nations working hard to create alliances that exclude the US. We're all familiar with the Belt and Road Initiative, right? Which is not a perfect initiative, but don't believe all the good things you hear about it from China, but don't believe all the bad things you hear about it from the US. It's fairly effective. It's making changes, significant changes, which is why the US is all fucked up right now. So you can decide for yourself whether some of those things like election interference and funding extremist groups, you can decide for yourself if those things have happened. I don't have any solid information on any of that, right? And we won't for a long time, but eventually we will. But yeah, it's not going to be as easy for the US as the US would like, and it's going to hurt all of us. It already has begun hurting all of us, I believe, here in the US. This division is not organic division. This division and the skewing of politics so radically in such a short period of time, that's not a natural progression. That came from somewhere. I don't know where, for sure, but I do have some guesses.